Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to see all of you here in our session talking about how to take a value chain transformation approach to deliver supply chain improvements across the product lifecycle. My name is Anleen. I'm one of the partners of Bluecrux, and our mission is to build efficient and effective value chains, so topic close to my heart. I will not do the discussion today, unfortunately, but I have a great panel with me. So we have DJ Jourdain from Fresenius, we have Michaela Long from Moderna, we have Richard Sparks from J&J, and we have Cecile. You become very famous here, Cecile, from Biocodex. Yeah. Good. Maybe before we get started, we talk about value chain a lot. It's the track of value chain. But if I may ask you to scan maybe the QR code. So if you would like to take the thing which anyhow is in your hand and scan the QR code, because we would like to start with some basic questions. Yeah? Good. Then I think the first question is value chain the same as supply chain? So not sure whether someone can confirm that they see already the question. Yeah? It's
not open?
Yeah, open.
Yeah? All right. So is it the same as supply chain? All right. Waiting a bit. There's no one who says yes, so I think that's positive, right? I mean, we had a discussion in preparation of that, and I think we all agree that value chain is a way broader topic than supply chain. With supply chain, you typically think on the physical movement across plants, across DCs, and value chain obviously goes broader. It goes into the link with R&D, commercial, finance, and so forth. So that is an intro question, and then the next question, and then I'll turn it to the panel, is our definition of value chain and value chain transformation. Would that be different across the product life cycle? If you would think of value chain and you would think across the product life cycle, would you think of a different definition? All right. I think also here we have a majority, and it's with this question that I would like to kick off the panel. So, Michaela, if I can start with you, what's in your position, in your current role at Moderna? What's your key focus on the product lifecycle, and how does that relate to value chain transformation?
So, Moderna is a very young company. And so my focus goes preliminarily on the connection between the clinical and the commercial, which goes beyond the launch phase. It goes upstream, like late phase 2, phase 3, until the commercial life cycle. So I'm primarily focused there. And I totally agree with your question before, meaning the life cycle stage will determine how value is defined. And therefore, all the activities that you're doing are depending on that.
Yeah, all right, great. And Cecile, we also had conversations on this topic, right? I think Biocodex is not purely focused on clinical to commercial, so how does that relate to value chain transformation, and what's the nuance you want to bring to this topic?
We are not focused on definitely on the clinical till commercial, because we are also managing all the life cycle phase from the launch, the growth, maturity, and also decline. And one of our focus and challenge is now how to handle the discontinuation of the product and also the stop of the product for hold product. And now we will balance with the launch of the product. So this is one of our challenge for the time.
Yeah, so totally different end of the product cycle, right? Great challenge. DJ, any perspective on supply chain versus value chain?
Yes, in Fresenius Medical Care, we are more closer from launches to end of life. site rebalancing, and in terms of difference also between the value chain, because we offer also digital product for the connectivity between the machines and the doctors. And this is really, I would say, a clear value chain which is not handled through the supply chain, because it's more digital and service provided.
Yeah, so value chain expanding even up until the doctor.
Exactly.
Interesting as well. And then Richard, much of your focus within J&J is on clinical to commercial as well, but as well, I think we heard it this morning also from Wayne, a lot of focus on thinking through the product strategy across the life cycle. So how do you go about designing those criteria at J&J?
Yeah, I think that obviously value chain management, its kind of core purpose, I guess, is to manage the life cycle of a product or a product family across its full journey from conception to end of life. And at J&J, the focus has really been around very early having an incredibly clear product strategy. So where's this product or product family going to go over all the stages of its life cycle? So you really sort of cross-functionally, as Wayne was alluding to earlier, you really cross-functionally nail down where this product is going, what you expect from it, what are the outcomes you need, service, cost, cash. Service, cost, cash. Resilience, agility, sustainability. So your product strategy really determines that, and then you move into what's your roadmap and how does your supply chain need to change dynamically over time to be able to cater for that product strategy, and as Wayne alluded to earlier, and then you check and challenge that as you go. So it's a critical element to set yourself up for success.
All right, great. So we have different perspectives here, one more from clinical to commercial, one more focused at how to manage end of life, the integration with the hospitals, and then the whole how to think through the value chain strategy very early on. Good. If we move on to the next question on your poll, if I might ask you to take your phone again. We had here different perspectives, right? It's maybe also good to baseline a bit the audience in terms of, for sure in your role today, you focus more on certain stages. So maybe also good to baseline a bit the audience on where is your biggest life cycle focus today in your role.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. All above.
Majority is focused on everything, so all of the above. So that's for sure super interesting. And then I think it's a bit evenly split between the launch preparation, post-launch, clinical, and end of life. So a bit evenly spread. I wanted to do this question to also look a bit and the challenges which are there by life cycle stage. So if I can go to the next question, in which area do you see the highest need to mature the processes? And you will now need to type it. So it's an open question, just to hear a bit your perspective on in which area of the life cycle or on any other area you think about, do you see the highest need to mature the processes? Quite some people talking about end of life. I think it's also typically an area where there is maybe the least focus on how to close a life cycle properly.
And profitably.
Yeah, indeed. I think we are talking here about maturing processes, but obviously maturing processes also go along with digital initiatives. So if I can ask the panel in terms of digital initiatives, which digital or process improvements related to the need which we see here, do you take across the value chain in your area, in the area we just discussed, and what value is it unlocking? So maybe Richard, can I start with you?
Yeah, of course. So as I alluded to earlier around the importance of product strategy, the necessity for a roadmap that's really detailing out how the product is going to change over time through that strategy. Obviously, we operate in a very complex environment. You're looking at, trying to drive different outcomes at different stages of life for the product. And so the digital agenda is incredibly key to be able to model, simulate, and really, understand how you're going to shape your supply chain through the future of the life cycle of a product. And the good news is, Sarab here, who does all this at J&J, is on stage tomorrow, track B, 2:00, and he's going to do a case study on our digital agenda when it comes to lifecycle management. So I'll leave the rest to him for tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure that sets the scene for you, Sarab, tomorrow. Good, Didier?
Yes, we do various things. So in order to make sure we see the launches, what we have done is we are extending the horizon of our forecasting tool to make sure that we capture the early signal of the launches and the associated cannibalization when a product is, I would say, is hitting part of the market and adding a new treatment. So we are going up to 48 months. Now we have extended the horizon and moving the business slowly but surely there. Implementing forecasting techniques as well, because you cannot ask people to populate on 48 months what they used to do on 12 through Excel, I would say. So this is what we do on this side. And making sure we also will connect with our supplier base to make sure that also whatever this demand signal is converted into a supply signal and extending the horizon of what we give to our supplier, and sometimes we don't give even forecast. So breaking this rule and really making sure that it's becoming systematic. So that's really the immediate things we are doing here.
I guess it's still a journey as well,
it's
right?
still a journey, yes. And in my past life, we were having also, when I was in Sanofi, we implemented a digital supply chain twin with Exxon in order to also have this end-to-end visibility, making sure we had the connection and the cascading where the link was missing, making sure it was mapped on the system and maximized in terms of information flow.
Okay, so in terms of linking clinical to commercial, you're extending horizons and then working on integration with suppliers.
Yep.
All right, good. Cécile?
I think value chain is also different across the product life in terms of priorities and resources. In Biocodex, what we have decided to put in place is a lifecycle management tool. So we decided to classify all the products with an axis with the contribution of the product to the global turnover of the company, and also across the life cycle phase of the product, to be sure that we will focus resource and energy on the key priorities and on the profitable SKUs. So this is definitely something we are doing. And the second point, what we implement since now last year, is how to handle the second life of the product. Means how to be able to go through the slow mover and all the slow mover every month, and we put in place a governance with the commercial team and business team to check what can be done in terms of commercial operation, and if it's not possible, what we have to do to do not destruct the product. So either to find another channel, e-commerce can be. Also, if it's clearly not possible because of shelf life, we implement a process of donation. So we have now a donation committee. So we have a second life committee each month and a donation committee also each month to be sure that we will also handle the end of life of the product if we cannot commercialize it. And I think it's good also on CSR perspective, but not also on profitability of the company. So
yeah, that's super interesting. I hear other companies moving in that direction as well. Is it your team then preparing that for that committee?
Yes, this is my team, and in a very good collaboration with the CSR team.
Yeah.
So yeah,
interesting. Michaela, on digital/process improvements, anything from Moderna side?
From Moderna side, again, is a very young company and being focused on launches. It's The digital initiatives are all about connecting the dots in order to shorten the chain between decision making and implementation. So we climb the stair from the end, from digitalizing the launch preparation and the launch readiness and the launch execution, building a data lake of information that are going cross-functionally pretty wide, including outside of CMC area, including regulatory, including commercial, in a launch preparation. Then we climbed in the filing preparation, and then we are climbing in the pre-filing preparation. So applying the same model, and this is obtained through integrating the standard investment decision points with connecting sessions and merging governance and digital tool in order to have the information cascaded much faster with a unique reference point.
And that's also your team who is driving that. All right. Great. I think based on this, you clearly see that depending on the area of focus, there are many different digital/process initiatives. I think an area which was also touched upon earlier in this track in many conversations, and even this morning in the keynote, was on the importance of collaboration with external partners. And I think that's also an area which typically you see where if you think about the value chain, you also think about your external network. If you think about supply chain, then typically you still think about your internal network. So maybe let's direct the topic a bit to external collaboration. And basically, how do we look at this, again, depending on your area of focus, on that external collaboration? What does that mean for you? Any particular initiatives in your area? Cécile, you?
I think that to manage improvements of the supply chain during the life cycle of the product, we need to have strong partnership with CMOs. We are working with lots of CMOs, and if we want to handle, for instance, MOQ reduction, just because the product has not the success we are expecting, we need to have strong partnership to do that. And even if a very good forecasting tool to be able to handle that. And I think this is really key. I think it's something now we have better and better conversation about that with CMOs, because they now understand that we need to have to share the risk. Especially with the launches of the product, and we cannot we can commit on the volumes for sure as supply chain when we have good forecast, but you know that the good forecast is for sure never never exist. But we can commit on the volumes, but then it can happen that it will not work, and then we need also to have different way of working with them. So I think this is important.
And has it increased in terms of focus over the past years?
I think because we have also all of us, we have a CSR approach. We want to do not destruct the product. We want also to be more sustainable, and our CMOs should be also. So we should adapt and adjust the supply chain to do that. So I think it's one of the challenges. Yes.
Yeah. All right. I think Richard, you're also within J&J. There's also a lot happening about supplier integration.
Yeah, well, in fact, it really started off with more of a customer integration. I think having a consumer business as part of our portfolio until recently, with a lot of a collaborative planning and forecasting requirements, the focus was heavily there. And then as sort of time evolved and people started talking about multi-enterprise network collaboration, we thought, oh, there's going to be this world where every node in our supply chain is mapped and mirrored, and we can see what's going on. But actually, we've dialed back our expectations a little bit, and we have a lot of focus on supplier collaboration, kind of a segmented approach. I mean, we certainly cut POs and wait, hundreds of days for things to arrive. We have that very classic transactional area, and then all the way through to where we've invested in sort of best-of-breed solutions to give us like a collaborative management tool, I suppose, with suppliers, going back to their suppliers as well. And in that area, we already have examples where, you know, it's not just kind of like the and I'm a planning guy, but the planning collaboration's going on, but quality collaboration, technical collaboration. We even have examples of ingesting MES data from you know, external manufacturers and being able to see that sort of very near real time and get involved in problem solving if batches are going awry and things like that. But it really is, you do that where it's kind of like hypersensitive, hypercritical, and you just got to segment and think about it very calmly, or you spend a lot of money.
Yeah, I think segmenting your suppliers on that front is super critical, right?
Yeah, and I'd add actually one of the challenges, if anybody's cracked this code, is what happens if you've got, you know, a key CMO and you're doing all this collaborative stuff, and they are also on board their raw material suppliers, but they happen to be the same raw material suppliers that we may have feed in our plants. And all of a sudden, you've got this sort of competitive is the wrong word, but this landscape of, you know, visibility of a certain amount of the raw material supply chain, but not the other. And so that's one of the dynamics we're trying to work through is, you know, how you can sort of solve puzzles like that. Because if you have a constraint on that raw material, you know, it gets a bit more interesting. So we're not there yet.
No. And if anyone has the answer,
Yeah.
connect to Richard. Didier?
Yes, same as well for us. The focus is really on segmentation. What we call, it's about key material and key semi-finished, because if not, it's an endless journey and we don't have the resources. For example, we also manufacturing a machine for dialysis, and there is 3,000 different parts to build a machine. So here you can see, and here we need to deal with electronics and obsolescence and last buy. So the supplier say, okay, I will not produce anymore in 6 months. So you may have to buy like 12, 18 months with the risk that you need to qualify somebody else in parallel. And for injection molding, we have we are now synchronizing because several of our different plants were sourcing from the same injection molding company. And there was a competition between our own plants. So not even between the CMO and the plant, but between our own plants. So we are trying to synchronize, I would say, on the hardship way at the moment because we have some crises, but building, and that was planned, building the model to integrate into a solution suite to make sure that we can have this demand visualization and orchestration at global level. So we make sure that we decide globally which plant is supposed to get the highest quantity based on the urgency of the needs, and not just to replenish safety stock.
That then also comes back and links back to the whole value chain strategy,
Exactly.
right? On how much do you source from which supplier and what's the strategic...
and the value chain for the plant is to make the added value at that month. So we need to make sure that we orchestrate for the company what is the value for the company versus the immediate value generated within each plant as well. So,
right. Good. I think now we talked about the supplier collaboration as part of value chain. I think lastly, we also wanted to touch base on the whole sustainability topic, which we already alluded to, right? As sustainability becomes more and more important in managing value chain transformations. So how does CSR and the sustainability piece factor into your value chain transformation strategy? Cecile?
I think that, I talked already about CSR because we have a strong decarbonation plan in Biocodex for 2032. So, but we have lots of works. Our carbon footprint is linked to the product. Definitely, when you check the carbon footprint analysis, this is linked to the product. So, what is very key is as Richard said, how to have the strategy of the product, but also how to have product sustainable by design, because it's very difficult to do something like a CSR approach with some products which definitely have not been elaborated with sustainability, I would say, approach. For instance, we know that one of our biggest impact is on blister, is on aluminium. But we cannot remove aluminium from our product like that. So it will take maybe 3 years, because we need to, to do another qualification, etc., etc. So it will take time. So for new product, we definitely need to do the eco-consumption approach, that we will be able to manage the sustainability from across the life of the product, even if on end of life and for the usage of this product. So I think this is now what lots of company launch as the key process for the next years. So
and is that then also you're talking about the new products, right, where you can now start to take it into account? Is there like a program running on the existing products to look for which ones will we still do what and so on?
For sure. What we have done last year, we changed the quality of the packaging, because it was the high quality of the packaging so far, with a very white, with but is white, but very very I would say very brilliant white. Now it is less. So the marketing accepted that. And also it's joke, but I think this is this is an approach we have, but it's more difficult when you have when you are thinking about primary packaging. We can do something on secondary packaging. This is something we can also propose, and also as supply chain director, we can check where are the events, or not the events, but where are the driver of this CO2 consumption. But we need definitely to have a great collaboration with development team and marketing team to do that. So I think this is
yeah, that was super key. Didier, from your perspective, focus on sustainability.
Eco design. I think this is the foundation. End of life. I mean, destruction is exactly just destroying not only value, but the whole CO2 footprint from everything that is there. So how do we make sure that we manage and better launch plan, because that's where forecasting is harder, and how to make sure that we always use, I would say, eco-friendly, I would say, shipping methodology, so sea or rail, and avoiding costly for the environment and for the P&L, air freight and so on and so forth. So this is really reducing to the max. On eco-design, we have developed quite an innovative film for all the solutions that are being used for the PD treatments, which is biofine, which is really a lot with, I would say, a naturally sourced product. So, and this is really also have made Fresenius Medical Care very successful and driving that. So this is on the agenda. It's important for all the patients nowadays, so that the beauty is not only for stock market. So as we are very close to with home patients, so that's something that is being looked at.
Yeah. So then you're saying it's looked at from a more strategic perspective throughout the value chain design, let's say, but I guess also in the operational processes such as an OE, right?
Exactly. How do we make sure that we design into the processes, so SNOP, to make sure that the launches are successful, but also on the SNOE, how do you make sure that you have the right arbitrage and decision making, so you take this into account to react early enough and not last minutes, which then force you to go on those topics. So that's really important. How do we build it in our processes so it's not become something aside, but it's based on your decision making.
Yeah, and to avoid last minute air freight and
exactly. We are not yet at the simulation because our maturity is not there. To simulate what is the cost if we use a lot of optimizers and so on and so forth. But CO2 is not yet coded as a cost within those optimizers. That's the journey we need to go through and to make it embedded into our decision making process.
Yeah. Okay. So talking both on the strategic side as an operational processes, Michaela, from your side on sustainability.
Yes, a couple of points. One is very simple and connects back to what I was mentioning. So the integration, the cross-functional integration. Very simple. Inputs from commercial were actually pushing to take decisions into sustainability. They were asking for fully paper packaging, and in Moderna style, in 6 months, we transitions from blisters to paper. So this integration, the earliest it can happen, the better. That's why integrating commercial and the voice of the customer back into the design and putting in contact actually commercial people with development people is one of the key aspects, and brings benefit on the sustainability as well. The other aspect is actually stepping back and keeping the supply chain footprint right-sized. Moderna went through pandemic and now launching the pipeline. So the needs are very, very different, and the time for reactivity, so in the life cycle, in adapting the supply chain network footprint to what you actually do, is actually bringing benefit because there's little waste in there.
Yeah, that I fully understand. Richard, anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, everything's a parallel, I suppose. What you've just heard, design for sustainability at the start, but of course we couldn't do that or didn't do that, many years ago with a sort of broad portfolio and products in different stages. So then we're left with tactics. Tactics of trying to think cleverly about, well, we've got inventory positioned in markets for resilience purposes. Therefore, why are we air freighting? Should we use different modality of transportation to get product there? Because air freight has always been our common currency. So trying to reduce in ways that are smart but not really to the detriment of the business. Of course, like everybody, wind and solar, and trying to tweak designs of products. But the focus is really on design for sustainability and not so much on the tactics to redress what's gone in the past.
But it's not something which changes overnight, right? There is a whole portfolio which is there, which somehow we need to manage, right? And I think from the start we can now do the best with eco-design and so on. But on the portfolio which are there, it's not something you change overnight.
It will take time.
Yeah. Okay, though. Great. That brings us to the end of our sessions. We have Didier who needs to start moving to his next session, so he cannot handle the complex questions. So
I trust the team.
Yeah. I think takeaways from this session, one, we talked about the difference between value chain and supply chain. The fact that it's different across the total product life cycle. I think we really went in all directions, from launch challenges to commercialization to end of life. I think we've all seen that there is most likely a bit more emphasis as well on really manage that end of life process in a holistic way, including sustainability as a topic. And lastly, the importance of the collaboration with suppliers across this whole value chain transformation. So that's a bit what we wanted to share, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well done.